Okay, step 5. In this step, we are solving the top edge pieces. As you like on the bottom, they each had to be lined up correctly, and the same thing goes for on the top. As you can tell, the blue, yellow, and blue edge pieces are already correctly placed. However, this blue, red, and blue, white ones are not. So, to fix this, you will hold the yellow, or there'll always be two edge pieces that are done. You will hold the edge pieces that are done, one in the back and one on the right. And then you will do the algorithm, R, U, R prime, U, R, U, U, R prime. And then that has relocated each of these pieces, and then you just simply do a U. And they're all in the correct spot. And then the next step, that is the completion of step 5. Step 6, you are solving each of these corner pieces. As you can tell, this blue, yellow, orange edge piece, or corner piece, I'm sorry, is already in the right orientation. Blue would come to the top, orange down here, and yellow across. However, the rest of them are not done. So, to do that, you hold the corner piece that is done in front of you and on the right side. So it's here in the bottom right corner. And you would do the algorithm, up, right, U prime, L prime, up, R prime, U prime, left. And with that, you can see that it has rotated these three corners, but has kept this corner in the same spot. If your three corners still aren't correctly oriented, that means you need to do the algorithm one more time, and again with the completed corner in the bottom right. So, U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L. And with that, you can see that each of the corners is correctly oriented, and that two of them aren't even done, leaving you with two corners that need to be oriented. And then on to the last step, which is step 7, solving the top corners. And this is a very simple step. This is the algorithm for this is simply R prime, D prime, R, D. You start with one of the corner pieces that needs to be done, like this blue, white, red, and you keep that in front of you, and on the bottom right, and you start that algorithm, R prime, D prime, R, D. However, you have to do that twice, so you again do R prime, D prime, R, D. As you noticed, that messed up your bottom cross and all these other pieces. However, don't worry. Don't rotate the entire cube now. All you have to do is turn the top layer 180 degrees, or 90, or however many you need to get the next corner piece in the same spot you started off with. And you have to do R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. And you do that 4 times this time. So R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. And then this last layer just turn however many times to get to the right place. And that is how you solve a 3x3 Rubik's Cube. We're going to go back to that last step real quick and show you a couple hints that I have. Whenever you have these pieces, they should be like if it's piece where your corner you're starting at, if the piece is facing the right, that means you need to do R prime, D prime, R, D twice. But if the piece is in front of you, then we need to do R prime, D prime, R, D 4 times. And a lot easier way to do it. It doesn't look like it's R prime, D prime, R, D anymore, but it's a lot easier to maneuver. Is instead of doing R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D, like that. I mean, because that's kind of you hold it with one hand and you keep on spinning it over and over like that. Whereas instead, you could do it a lot easier by holding it sideways. So it's a lot. So here, I'll just show you for an example. Instead of holding it vertically up and down where the blue is on top, hold blue to your left side, and you're still doing the R prime, D prime, R, D. However, instead of but now it looks like you're doing it differently. But it's a lot easier on the hands, and you can maneuver it a lot quickly. So now you're still doing R prime, D prime, R, D over and over, but it's a lot quicker to do it this way, where you do R prime, D prime, R, really quick, and then again move the top layer to keep the same face you started with, and just do R prime, D prime, R, D really quickly like that, and then it's solved. I hope I covered everything that you need to solve this. I will leave the algorithms in the description, and I will also have annotations up there for you to see them. I will leave a couple different links to some visual images if you would like to see the algorithms written out along with an image. And I will leave a link to a couple other tutorials that are very well made along with this one. And that is all. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helped.